I uninvited my sister, with whom I have had no contact for 6 years, but my boyfriend invited her without asking me. What he got next shocked everyone. I, 34F, am getting married to my boyfriend Henry, 35M, next month. We've been together for 6 years and living together for the last 2. As we're preparing our guest list, I noticed Henry included my elder sister Felicity, 36F. I haven't spoken to her in 6 years, coincidentally since I started dating Henry. When I asked Henry about it, he said our wedding is a big event, and I should patch things up with Felicity. He thinks I should invite her. I'm not okay with this at all. I reminded Henry of what happened 6 years ago, and told him not to forget it either. I'll admit, what happened back then wasn't acceptable, but I had managed to forgive and forget. However, I'm not willing to extend the same courtesy to my sister. There's too much history there, and I don't want her at our wedding. Henry and I argued about this for a while. He kept insisting that family is important and that I should give Felicity another chance. I tried explaining my feelings, but he didn't seem to understand. It's frustrating because he knows why I cut contact with her, yet he's pushing for her to be there on our special day. I've thought about this a lot over the past few days. I've considered Henry's point about family being important, but I just can't bring myself to agree. The memories of what happened are still too painful. Having Felicity at our wedding would only bring up bad feelings and potentially ruin what should be a happy day. I talked to my best friend about this, and she agreed with me. She remembers how upset I was 6 years ago and thinks it's completely understandable that I don't want Felicity there. Her support has made me feel more confident in my decision. I've also thought about how having Felicity there might affect other aspects of the wedding. Would it create tension among other family members? Would I be constantly worried about what she might say or do? It's not worth the stress. Henry and I had another conversation about it last night. I explained my feelings again, this time more firmly. I told him that while I appreciate his desire for family unity, this is a line I'm not willing to cross. Our wedding day should be about us and our love, not about mending fences with someone who hurt me deeply. I reminded Henry that we've built a life together over the past 6 years without Felicity in it. We've been happy and successful. Adding her back into the mix now, especially on our wedding day, feels wrong and unnecessary. After a long discussion, Henry finally seemed to understand my perspective. He agreed that my feelings should come first in this situation. We've decided to move forward with the wedding planning without including Felicity on the guest list. I feel relieved now that this decision has been made. I can focus on the excitement of marrying the man I love without worrying about potential drama from my sister. I know some people might think I'm being harsh or unforgiving, but I believe I'm doing what's best for me and for our wedding. The wedding preparations are in full swing now. We've booked a beautiful venue, a rustic barn that's been converted into an event space. It's perfect for the autumn wedding we've always dreamed of. The florist is working on arrangements with deep reds and oranges to match the season, and the caterer has put together a menu featuring local, seasonal ingredients. I've found the perfect dress, a simple but elegant A-line gown with lace sleeves. Henry and his groomsmen have their suits picked out, and we've settled on a color scheme for the bridesmaids. Everything is coming together beautifully. Our guest list is nearly finalized. We're expecting about 150 people, a mix of family and friends from both sides. It's been a bit challenging coordinating with Henry's family, who live out of state, but we're making it work. Everyone seems excited about the wedding, and we've been receiving RSVPs steadily. Despite all the joy and excitement, there's still a nagging feeling in the back of my mind about Felicity. Part of me wonders if I'm making the right decision. Am I being too harsh? Should I be the bigger person and extend an olive branch? But then I remember the hurt and betrayal I felt 6 years ago. The pain may have reduced over time, but it's still there. I think about how I would feel seeing her at my wedding, how it might bring back all those negative emotions on what should be the happiest day of my life. I've talked to my parents about my decision. They're disappointed but understanding. They know the full story of what happened, and while they wish the family could be whole again, they respect my choice. They've promised not to pressure me about it and to support whatever decision I make. As the wedding day gets closer, I'm becoming more certain that I've made the right choice. This day is about Henry and me, about celebrating our love and commitment to each other. It's not about family drama or trying to mend broken relationships. I'm looking forward to our wedding day, to walking down the aisle and seeing Henry waiting for me at the altar. I'm excited to dance our first dance as a married couple, to cut the cake, to throw the bouquet. These are the things I want to focus on, not worrying about potential conflicts with my sister. So, am I bad for not inviting my sister to my wedding? I don't think so. I think I'm protecting my own happiness and ensuring that our wedding day is as joyful and stress-free as possible. But I'm open to hearing other perspectives. What do you think? Update 1. It's been about a week since my last post, and things have taken an unexpected turn. I got a call from my mother yesterday, thanking me for inviting Felicity to the wedding. I was furious and confused. I hadn't invited her, so how did this happen? I confronted Henry about it, and his response left me shocked. He told me I needed to grow up and stop holding grudges against family members. He admitted to inviting Felicity behind my back, thinking I'd eventually come around to the idea. This betrayal brought back memories of why I cut contact with Felicity in the first place. It all started 6 years ago when I first introduced Henry to my family. Felicity was engaged at the time, but I later found out she had eyes for Henry from the start. As Henry became more familiar with my family, Felicity started getting closer to him when I wasn't around. I was completely unaware of what was happening. Looking back, there were signs I should have noticed. The way Felicity would laugh a little too hard at Henry's jokes, how she always seemed to be around when he visited our family home. Things came to a head one day when I came home early from work. I walked in to find Henry and Felicity in an intimate moment. They were sitting close together on the couch, their heads bent towards each other, speaking in low voices. When they saw me, they jumped apart, but it was too late. I had seen enough. Henry immediately started apologizing, saying it was just a misunderstanding and nothing had happened. But Felicity's reaction was what really hurt me. Instead of apologizing or showing any remorse, she actually boasted about the situation. She said she was more beautiful than me and that Henry liked her more. Our argument escalated quickly. Harsh words were exchanged, and years of sibling rivalry and resentment came pouring out. In the heat of the moment, I told Felicity I never wanted to see her again. I grabbed Henry's arm and we left. After that day, I cut all contact with Felicity. I changed my phone number and blocked her on all social media. I even asked our parents not to give her any information about me. It was a drastic move, but at the time, it felt necessary for my mental health. Henry and I moved in together shortly after. We had a lot of long, difficult conversations about what had happened. He swore nothing physical had occurred between him and Felicity, and that he had no feelings for her. He said she had been flirting with him, but he hadn't known how to handle it without causing family drama. It took time, but I eventually forgave Henry. I chose to believe him when he said nothing had happened, and I appreciated that he was willing to cut ties with my family to support my decision. We've built a good life together over the past 6 years, and I thought we had moved past all of this. But now, with Henry inviting Felicity to our wedding behind my back, all those old feelings of betrayal and hurt are resurfacing. I'm starting to question everything, our relationship, our past, even our future. I've spent the last day thinking about what to do. Part of me wants to call off the wedding entirely. Another part wants to go through with it but uninvite Felicity, and a small nagging part wonders if I should just give in and let her come. The more I think about it, the more upset I become. Henry knew how much this would hurt me, yet he did it anyway. He went behind my back and made a decision about our wedding without consulting me. It feels like a huge breach of trust. I've been replaying the events of 6 years ago in my mind, wondering if I missed something. Was there more going on between Henry and Felicity than I realized? Did I forgive too easily? Should I have pressed for more details about what happened between them? I called my best friend and told her everything. She was furious on my behalf and offered to come over right away. We spent hours talking it through. She reminded me of how devastated I was 6 years ago, how long it took me to trust Henry again. She thinks I need to seriously reconsider whether I want to marry someone who would disrespect my wishes like this. I also spoke to my parents. They were surprised to hear that I hadn't actually invited Felicity. My mom apologized for assuming and said she should have checked with me first. They're worried about me and offered to postpone the wedding if I need more time to sort things out. The wedding is supposed to be in 3 weeks. We've put down deposits, sent out invitations, finalized most of the details. The thought of calling it off is overwhelming, but so is the thought of going through with it while feeling this way. I tried talking to Henry again, hoping he would understand how much he's hurt me, but he's still insisting that I'm overreacting. He says it's just one day, that having Felicity there won't change anything between us. He doesn't seem to understand that it's not just about Felicity being there, it's about him going behind my back and disregarding my feelings. After a lot of soul-searching, I've made a decision. I can't marry someone who would go behind my back like this, especially about something so important. Henry knew how much Felicity's presence would hurt me, yet he invited her anyway. I've told Henry he needs to make a choice. Either we have our wedding without Felicity, or we don't have a wedding at all. I know it's an ultimatum, but I feel like I've been pushed into a corner. This isn't just about Felicity anymore. It's about trust and respect in our relationship. Henry seemed shocked when I gave him this ultimatum. He tried to argue that I was overreacting, but I stood my ground. I told him he has until the end of the week to make his decision and uninvite Felicity if he chooses our wedding. I'm not sure what's going to happen now. Part of me hopes Henry will see how serious this is and make the right choice. But another part of me is preparing for the worst. Either way, I know I'm doing what's best for me, even if it's difficult. The next few days are going to be tense. I'm dreading having to explain to everyone why the wedding might be called off. I'm worried about the financial implications of canceling everything at this late stage. But more than anything, I'm sad. Sad that what should have been one of the happiest times of my life has turned into this mess. I'll update again once Henry makes his decision. In the meantime, any advice or support would be appreciated. Am I doing the right thing? Should I stick to my ultimatum, or am I being too harsh? How do I move forward from here, regardless of what Henry decides? Update. 2. The wedding is next week and things have taken a dramatic turn. Henry and I haven't been talking much, even though we're still living in the same apartment. His parents arrived a few days ago, which has made things even more tense. Yesterday, while I was at work, I called Henry to confirm if he had uninvited Felicity. He started making excuses and telling me how I should reconsider. Something in his tone made me suspicious. I had a gut feeling that there was more going on than I knew. Against my better judgment, I decided to hire a private investigator to follow Felicity. I know it sounds extreme, but I needed to know the truth. The PI came back with evidence that confirmed my worst fears. Henry has been cheating on me with Felicity. Not just recently, but for years. I was devastated and furious. All this time, I thought I had forgiven Henry for a one-time mistake. Now I find out it's been going on behind my back for our entire relationship. I felt like my whole world was crumbling around me. After the initial shock wore off, I started planning. I decided I wasn't going to let them get away with this. I told Henry that I had changed my mind and Felicity was invited to the wedding after all. He seemed relieved, which only fueled my anger more. As the wedding day approached, I pretended everything was fine. I went through with all the preparations, smiling and acting excited. Inside, I was a mess of emotions, hurt, betrayal, and a burning desire for revenge. On the day of the wedding, just before the ceremony was supposed to start, I asked everyone to gather in the reception hall. I told them I wanted to show a special video I had prepared, chronicling my 6-year journey with Henry. As everyone settled in, expectant smiles on their faces, I started the video. But instead of a romantic montage, what played were the photos and video evidence the PI had gathered. There were images of Henry and Felicity together, text messages they had exchanged, and even a video of them kissing outside a hotel. The room fell silent as the evidence played out on the screen. I watched as shock, disgust, and anger played across the faces of our friends and family. Henry's parents looked mortified. My parents were in tears. When the video ended, I stood up and addressed the room. I explained how Henry and Felicity had been carrying on this affair for years, right under everyone's noses. I told them about the incident 6 years ago, and how I had been fooled into believing it was a one-time thing. Henry tried to interrupt to explain, but I wouldn't let him speak. Felicity sat in stunned silence, her face pale. I looked at both of them and said, "The wedding is off. I hope you two are happy together because you've lost me forever." With that, I walked out of the hall, leaving chaos behind me. My best friend followed me out, hugging me and telling me how brave I was. My parents came out soon after, apologizing for not believing me about Felicity all those years ago. It's been a few days since then. I'm staying with my parents while I figure out what to do next. Henry has been calling and texting nonstop, begging for another chance, but I've blocked his number. Felicity tried to reach out once, but I shut that down immediately. I know I have a long road ahead of me. There's an apartment to move out of, joint accounts to separate, and a lot of emotional healing to do. But for the first time in 6 years, I feel like I can breathe. The truth is out, and I'm free from their lies. Looking back, I realize there were signs I chose to ignore. But I'm not going to blame myself. They were the ones who chose to betray me, to lie to me for years. I'm just glad I found out before I married Henry. To everyone who supported me through my previous posts, thank you. Your advice and kind words gave me the strength to stand up for myself. To those who are in a similar situation, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know it's going to be better than the life I would have had if I had gone through with the wedding. It's going to take time, but I'm going to be okay. The support I've received from friends and family has been overwhelming. My best friend has been by my side constantly, helping me deal with the aftermath. My parents have been incredibly supportive, offering me a place to stay and helping me navigate the legal aspects of canceling the wedding and separating my life from Henry's. I've started therapy to help process everything that's happened. It's going to be a long journey, but I'm committed to healing and moving forward. I'm focusing on self-care and rediscovering who I am outside of my relationship with Henry. To those who might judge me for how I handled the situation, I understand. It wasn't the most mature way to deal with it, but in that moment, facing the ultimate betrayal, I needed everyone to know the truth. I needed Henry and Felicity to face the consequences of their actions. I'm taking things one day at a time. Some days are harder than others, but I'm slowly starting to feel like myself again. I'm grateful for the support system I have and for the strength I found within myself. Thank you all for listening to my story. If there's one thing I've learned from this experience, it's the importance of trusting your instincts and valuing yourself. No one deserves to be treated the way Henry and Felicity treated me. I'm focusing on healing and rebuilding my life now. I've started a new hobby, painting, which has been surprisingly therapeutic. I'm also considering a career change, something I've wanted to do for a while but never had the courage to pursue. To anyone who might be going through something similar, remember that you deserve honesty, respect, and true love. Don't settle for less and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. Thank you again for all your support throughout this journey. It's meant more to me than you could ever know.